Hello everyone. We are very glad that you can join us today for this webinar on the SLV perspective. I'm Amy Ephraim, the Membership Coordinator for GALA, and I will be moderating this session. If you are hearing me okay, I would like to start with just a quick sound check, and you can help me out by finding the hand icon on your control panel and raising your hand, so I'll know that everyone is hearing okay. Great. I see a few hands going up. All right. Today's webinar will be presented by Olga Fomenko of InText Translation Company. Olga and one of her colleagues presented this session at the GALA 2010 conference in Prague last May, and it received great reviews. So we've asked Olga to come back and do it again for those of you that weren't able to attend, or maybe you were in Prague and you were at another session. So you are going to enjoy it today, I'm sure, as we did get really great reviews about Olga's presentation. So Olga will have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar, so we do ask that you hold your questions until then. If you have a microphone, I will be able to unmute you, as everybody right now is on mute during the webinar. But if you have a question, you can either type it into the chat box or raise your hand and I can unmute you to ask Olga, but do hold those until the end. So I will turn it over to Olga. If anyone has any questions or problems during the session, please do send me a message and we will take care of that as soon as possible. So Olga, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Amy. And hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm just going to repeat shortly about myself, a little bit of information. My name is Olga Fomenko, and I work at InText Translation Company as a project manager. We are located in a beautiful city of Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine, and we are an SLV company that translates into our native languages, which is Russian and Ukrainian. Before we proceed to the webinar, I would just like to say that it is based on the presentation that I was doing in Prague, and so I really want to thank GALA for this wonderful opportunity that I have, because when this visit to Prague allowed me to take a different perspective on the job that I do every day. And as a project manager, I had an opportunity to look at my job at a different angle and to see things that are very inspiring, and now I really feel proud of being project manager, and I want to share this feeling with you today. So to describe best what is it like to work as a project manager at an SLV company is to show you this slide. So as you can see, just like a pit stop team, we are those little guys refueling, making fast little fixings, and so on and so forth. And basically, there's no more time than just making fast decisions, taking fast reactions, and of course, trying to keep a smile always on your face. And as a project manager, I know that translation company determines a lot in the quality of translated text. And we try to do our best to deliver good quality and high quality services. But in the end, it is not always, we who decide whether the translation will be of high quality or not. It is not always we who guarantee that. So it was really interesting for us to find which localization model is the most popular and allows to get the best result. So we went to GALA guys and asked them to include the question into the survey they made, and the results were the following. As you can see, the main models are described here, and half of the preferences include, as you can see, projects that has SLV in the translation process. So the question here is whether it is possible for SLVs to make those figures higher. What we can do to participate more in the translations that are going on in the industry. And at the same time, is it possible to keep the translation quality high, always, at the same high level? So in general, you see that there are a lot of models, variety of models in the industry. They all work, and sometimes they even look strange, like end client, MLV, 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 SLV, and at the very end goes the freelancer. But that's market and that's business. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just something we have to handle on a daily basis. And so our goal in here is just to try our best to deliver high quality under conditions that are instructed by the client, right? And here best practices on translation quality management can really help us out and improve the situation. So examples of best tips looks like this. Use effective TM and glossary policy. This, of course, even simpler rules of using TM and glossary will allow you to use information from the client in the most effective way. You agree that 50% of guidelines is not the best practice when you have to translate 300 words. So clear guidelines are also great. Then lower risk with Plan B. This thing can help you to avoid situations like you have a call from your supplier saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at the hospital. I kind of forgot to tell you I'm giving birth to a child right now. I think I may be late with the project." And you need it today. And of course, continue improving the process, leverage with metrics. These things allow you to control that you are today better than you were yesterday, that you are not standing still, and that you are moving on and developing company. But I know for sure that internal documentation of the company contains dozens of pages on quality management, on things like I've just described you, on workflow procedures. We revise those documents half a year or so, just to stay tuned, to stay focused on the quality, to stay updated with the software we're using, and so on. And we carry out internal meetings and discuss issues of quality management. But still, as a Japanese proverb says, "Saru mo kikara ochiru," which in our great language of England says, monkeys fall down from trees sometimes. And it means that we all make mistakes. And there are times when we have to face reclamations. Yes, it is seldom, but claims arise. And if it is for the project I was handling personally, I ask myself, why? Why should this happen to me? I have always been a law-abiding citizen. And the answer to this is that best practices do not always help SLV in practice. And I'm going to continue with a short story that contains 7 examples, and it goes as 1 week of a project manager working in a translation company and dealing with stuff. It is based on my mailbox and the work that I do every day. So Monday. The day is brilliant. I start the day with a smile. The sun is shining. The weekend is just behind me, so I've got fresh memory of swimming in a swimming pool, right? And I go to work. I start my computer. I open my mailbox, and I see that we've got a new project from our good client, and I'm really excited to start working on it. So I'm studying the glossary, and I see that the glossary is not so good. As you can see, the first line, it is just obviously not translated. Then the second line, I don't know how many ways are there to translate figures, so that's just trash in the glossary. The third line, you will see that we have German and we have Dutch, but not Russian translation, so that's wrong target entry. The next line, you will see that we have German and we have 2 Russian translations, so that's inconsistency right there in the glossary. And the last line is just clearly corrupted characters. You cannot use that in the glossary. So I go like, oh my God, what should we do now? I have to contact the client. I'm writing to them, and they, okay, yes, thanks for noticing. We really appreciate it, guys. We'll take care of the glossary right away. But right now, please start the translation because the timelines are tight and we have to start the translation. Okay, yes, we start the translation. We continue the translation. We deliver it. And only in a few days, they get back to us saying, oh, hello guys, now we received the updated version, and could you please update the translation and the TM for us, and as quickly as possible, because it is still urgent, you remember that, right? And they put a little smile in the letter. But you really don't want to upset a client that has just been smiling to you. But the translation is like 100 pages. So, okay, I'm a professional project manager. I take a box of chocolates. I know they are our proofreader's favorite. So I go to him and say, okay, please, you know, those are our clients, you know, they're important to us. Could you please do that? You know, it's just something we have to do. So yeah, he says, okay, I love those chocolates, so fine. And in a few sleepless nights, the update is ready, and I'm sending the materials over to the client, and I put a smile back, so everything's okay. Tuesday. The beginning of the day was really great. The sun was still shining, the birds were still singing, but when I go to work, the first thing I notice is that my boss is not in such a good mood as he was yesterday. And so I open my mailbox and I see two letters, and others, yeah. The first one is a complaint from our client on the quality of the translation that we did, and the second one is a letter from my boss about that complaint from our client. And he goes like, do you know what they wrote me? Do you know what those guys wrote me? They said, we trusted you and you let us down. And Ola, you can never let the client down, okay? You understand that? Please, now you have to take care of that report. I don't know, do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, I must have that report and the client must have it as well. So yes, I don't want to make my boss even more upset. I like my boss. So I spent all day running through that report of 1,000 lines. And I know that we didn't screw up anything because the client just simply did not take into consideration that it was a Russian language. And first of all, Russian language has case endings. So if you can see the first two lines, it is just a matter of case endings, a matter of inclinations. It is not inconsistency, it's false. And second of all, the client did not take into consideration that Russian is not like English. In English you have, for example, let's take word zero, yes? You have zero being a verb, zero being a noun, zero being an adjective, but in Russian those are three different words, нулевой, обнулить, и ноль, right? So if we encounter that zero being different parts of speech, they all come up as different words in Russian, but in English they stay the same. So the inconsistency is false as well. And I know that we did nothing wrong, but I'm checking, I'm commenting, I'm spending a lot of time on that, and you know, other projects are not waiting. I have to, you know, well, it was a hasty day. Let's face it. Tuesday